Hello YouTube and welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about the filming process of my latest short film, Dreams. Now this is a short film that I filmed mostly by myself, and so there's a lot of stuff that I want to talk about and specifically focus on some of the challenges of filming most of a short film completely by myself. Now, the way this video is going to be structured is it's going to be broken down into chronological order based on when I filmed certain scenes. So it's not based on the order that the scenes happen in the film, it is based on when I actually filmed them in real time. So, a few things to get out of the way before I get into the actual, filming of it. A big thing I want to say, one big struggle of filming by yourself is just getting shots in focus. There's so many shots that I had, and so many times where I just spent time trying to set up the shot and get it perfectly in focus, and that could be an entire video in and of itself. I'm not really going to try and delve into that too much in the individual scenes, so I just want to put that out there right now. One of the absolute biggest challenges is just nailing your focus. A couple things that I found that help is if you can open up or close down your aperture so you got a little bit more to focus on, but obviously we want to have it as open as possible to get as much depth of field. I understand that. Another thing is to use some sort of marker, have something in place of where you're going to be, and then move that out of the way when you go to film. That helped tremendously, is just having something as a stand-in for myself. It wasn't perfect, but it definitely helped a lot. With that being said, let's get into it. So as I mentioned in the last video, the very first thing I filmed for this project was the initial dream sequences with the koi fish at the Japanese Tranquil Garden in San Diego. These sequences were initially filmed with no intention of being part of a larger film. I was really just filming to get some cool footage, maybe to use, my end of the year video, but I had no intention of making it into something bigger. And I kind of was just filming a lot of stuff, and this is one thing I've learned. If you're filming a live event or you're filming something where you're not really sure how much footage you need, always make sure you get more than you think you will need, because more often than not, you don't have enough footage and you're going to be wanting a shot that you didn't have. So anytime when you're not sure, just film extra to be safe. And that's kind of what I did with these sequences, and I just filmed a lot of the fish, I filmed a lot of the environment, the waterfalls, the water flowing, and then I kind of pieced it together and it became a dream sequence in the editing process. But initially, I was just filming something that was cool and interesting to me, and it blossomed this story out of it. So once I had the Tranquil Garden idea for it to be a dream, and I was starting to build off of that, the next thing I filmed was the scene where I write the note. And then also on that same day was the getting ready sequence and the part after when I come back with the other note and that whole thing. So with the initial note writing scene, for that setup, it's very simple. I just used my monitors for lighting, and I made sure to use the light that would be kind of on the opposite side of where the camera would be, so you get a little bit of a good key light, but it's a little bit more of a backlight as well. And all I used for that was just this website called whitescreen.dev, and it literally just lets you pick different colored screens, and there's one that's like zoom lighting, and so it had this nicer little warmer light to it. For the getting ready scenes, most of that was natural lighting or using the light in my bathroom already, and there wasn't anything crazy there. But with the scene where I put on that sweater, what I did do is there's a light in the closet, but I kind of wanted to shape it a little bit, so I actually just took a piece of paper and I taped it to the light to make a cone around the light to kind of give it more of that spotlight effect. And this is something that's super helpful when you're working with natural lighting and you don't really have a lot of extra lights to bring in, is learning how to shape what's already there. And so by just getting literally a piece of paper and some tape, I was able to create a little bit more of a coned spotlight style light that created a nice edge light around my back and looked a lot better in my opinion. And then for the scene where I'm coming back, that was an interesting setup because I wanted it to look like it was night. I wanted it to look dark, but I didn't want it to be dark, if that makes sense. I wanted people to still be able to clearly see what was going on. And so what I did is I took a light and I actually hung a huge bed sheet in front of it to soften the light and make it just more of this global illumination. And then also with the color grading, I made sure to kind of tint it a little bit cooler, a little bit more blue to give that feeling of night. But the actual lighting of the scene was just a light with a big bed sheet in front of it, and it worked perfectly. And then for the sequence with the fire, that was another lighting thing. There were effects to it, and I will fully break down that, like how I did that in the next video when I talk about the editing of it. But that was a scene that was very important for me to get the lighting right, because if the lighting didn't look right, the effect wouldn't look right. And you'll really see that in the editing when I show you kind of the before and after. For now, I'm just going to show you the final product, but in next week's video, I will show the process of how I kind of made that shot. But lighting was a huge, huge key to that. I used an LED kind of panel light, and I just set it to this fire setting, and it really helped make the lighting look real without me having to, actually light a trash can on fire. So that helped. So the next thing I filmed was actually the rainbow sequence and the dance sequence. So the rainbow sequence is the scene where I'm just looking out the window and I see a rainbow. That scene was entirely spontaneous. There was just a day where it had rained and I saw a rainbow outside, and so I filmed it, and then I filmed my reaction to it, and I thought, okay, maybe we could work this into the film somehow. But that wasn't really planned at all, and this was very early on when I just had that initial couple of dream sequences, and then I didn't really know where it was going to go from there. And so again, I just filmed something that I thought was cool and went from there. And that whole scene is natural lighting, and then it leads into the dance sequence, which was very fun to film, to be completely honest with you. It was one of my favorite sequences to film because I just put in my headphones, I just had music playing, and I was just having fun, to be completely honest. I set up a bunch of the lights in my room to just be on like kind of a rainbow cycle, set up the monitors, and then I've got like an RGB strip behind this kind of shelf thing that I've got going on, and it was just that. There was no other lights that were used, it was just those two, and it looked really good. And how I filmed that scene was I basically did a few different setups and then would kind of play a song and just dance for the duration of the song. And that would give me enough footage to pull from, and there would be better moments than others in certain shots, and I kind of just filmed a bunch of different setups and then pieced them all together into one final thing. And then the part right after I finished dancing, that was filmed before I even had the idea for what the next dream was gonna be. I just had the idea for kind of falling back into the chair and the lighting changing, and then I had that transition shot where it goes from the carpet to the desert. And that was all I had. I didn't have the idea for what that sequence was going to be until much later on. And so I filmed that little piece knowing that there's going to be more, but I didn't know what yet. The next scene I filmed was the part where I was drinking the Dr. Pepper and then the workout sequence, and that was filmed on one day. And with the drinking part, that was again just using the lighting from the monitors because I can't really fit a light in that area. I did chug, I think, half the can in the first take and then the other half in the second take. I did finish it in the take, like it was gone, but I didn't do it all in one go because I would have had to get another can. I don't know. It was actual Dr. Pepper. I didn't, put water in it. I literally was just chugging Dr. Pepper because I wanted to. I don't know. There's no real other explanation for it. That's how it was. And then the workout sequence, that was heavily inspired by the Iron Claw with the lighting and just kind of the feeling of the scene. That was a scene that I really wanted to feel like the kid is trying, but he doesn't know how to fix the problem, if that makes sense. He's trying to better himself. He's trying to move on. He's trying to build himself up and to be something better, but he's trying to do it in one night. He's trying to fix all of his problems in one night. And I don't know about you, but personally, I've had a lot of those times where you'll get into this thing of like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna get fit, I'm gonna, be super jacked, super strong. And so you work out for like one night, and then after that, it just is gone. And that was kind of the feeling that I wanted for that scene, was like, this is a temporary thing that isn't going to fix all of his problems, but he thinks it is. He thinks that if he can just work harder, if he can just build himself up more, that he will be able to kind of take on his problems and kind of beat up his problems in a way. And when I got the idea for this scene, this is when the desert dream sequences became more clear, and I said, it's got to be something where he's fighting himself, and he's working out in an attempt to say, I'm going to be stronger than myself, which is not a battle you can win, and that's not how it works. And so I really wanted to feel like he's going to struggle, he's going to push himself, and at the end of it, he's going to be right where he started, and he's not going to have made any progress. And he's really going to have to dig deep and really open up to finally get the help that he needs. Okay, sorry to pause the video here, but there is a good 10 to 15 minutes left in this video, and it was getting really, really long, so I've decided to split it into 2 parts. Part 2 will be up next week on next Sunday's video, and they're going to be, so it's going to be 2 about 10-minute videos instead of one 25-minute video. I felt like it was a little bit too long, and so I'm just going to split it into 2 parts, and then after that, there will be the editing video, which hopefully should be 1 part. I'll try and condense it and keep it, you know, short and sweet with the editing one, but you never know. But this video is going to be split into 2 parts. This is part 1, part 2 will be out next week. Thanks so much for understanding, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.